Part 146. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1451. Feng Qingyun was shocked when she heard this. Okay, you're really hiding it? What Zhong Wengziu meant was that the love report had been approved and he could interact with Guancheng openly. Of course, the previous interactions between the two were not secretive. They met after being introduced by Zhang Xiaoyu, and they have been getting along since they felt they were suitable. The army is more strict in reviewing marriage reports, but it does not prohibit military personnel from falling in love. However, many marriage reports are in you can apply only after you have been promoted, and your love relationship cannot affect your responsibilities. Although Feng Qingyun and Zhong Wengziu were both in the art troupe, they accepted different tasks and performed in different locations, so they were not together most of the time. For example, when they performed abroad at the beginning of the year, she went with them, but Zhong Wengziu did not go. Zhong Wengziu pushed her arm. Don't make it sound like I don't know Wu Zhanpeng. Wu Zhanpeng from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is passionately pursuing Feng Qingyun. Many people in the art troupe know that an above-board pursuit is different from a private relationship. Moreover, the man is unmarried and the woman is unmarried, so no one can find fault with them. The only flaw is that Feng Qingyun is too young. She is 16 this year, 17 next year, and will not be of marriageable age until the year after that. Feng Qingyun's mind is more mature than her age, and she will find an opportunity to go home with all her baggage. "Sister, I'm back," a sweet voice came in before anyone entered the house. Zibao had returned from the old leader's place and was practicing calligraphy with his sister under the guidance of Father Lu. As soon as he finished writing, he heard Feng Qingyun's voice. He put down the big calligraphy in his hand and rushed to the yard to open the door. "Auntie, you see who I am? Do you miss me?" And me," Lu Erxian poked his little head out from behind Zibao. Feng Qingyun smiled from ear to ear. 11 Bao, Xiang, I miss you so much. What about you? Do you miss me? Xiang only saw me 2 months ago, so his thoughts must be limited. 11 Bao, it's different, Zibao, we haven't seen each other for a long time, come here and let me see if you have grown taller. Zibao stood next to her. Look where I'm at you. It's your shoulder. Oh, you have grown so much. In a year or two, you will be as tall as me. Feng Qingyun carried the baggage with one hand and put his eldest nephew's shoulder on the other hand as he walked towards the main room, not forgetting to call Xiang. "Ah, where is sister? Is school over?" Zibao shook his head. "No, I can't come back until night." Lu Zhang was at home on vacation, and he would take his children with him when he went out to socialize. Lu's father and Wang Quilin were also at home, so Feng Qingxiu felt relieved and went out early and came back late. The more she studied, the more she felt that she still had room to learn, and she wished she could break into 2 in a minute. Half. You can't learn much knowledge in the classroom anymore. Whether it's foreign languages or medical skills, your foundation is more profound than what you learned in the classroom from the beginning. But you can learn something by following us old guys. You now what is needed is to calm down, continue to review, and focus on practice, Professor Xie said to Feng Qingxiu who was packing up the books. Feng Qingxiu nodded and said, "I listen to you, but the class must be attended as usual. I need a certificate of completion." Professor Xie hummed, "The medical papers you showed me were very well written. I showed them to all the old medical professors I know. They were impeccable. If there is a channel, you can publish them to abroad, bringing glory to the country." Although Feng Qingxiu has always stood on the shoulders of giants, after 10 years of studying medical skills, she is not without some ideas and skills. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1452. Feng Qingxiu also had this plan, and said with a smile, "I have written a paper in French, English and Italian, and have given it to several old professors in the foreign language department to check and compare. If there is no problem, I will send it to 2 foreign countries. Professor Xie was very happy. That's the best. Although I studied Western medicine and my English is good, my French and Italian are blurred. If you look for them, they won't even have time to be happy. The motherland has established diplomatic relations with other countries. Of course we must find ways to gradually go abroad, and we cannot let foreigners think that our country has always been poor and backward. No matter how the country treats them, they only have one motherland in their hearts. This is one of the reasons why Feng Qingxiu respects them. As long as the country needs them, they won't say a word. During the more than a year of school, she has seen many teachers return to their posts, and their seriousness in teaching remains the same. Teach seriously without hiding anything. Theft of papers, which may happen in later generations, will never happen in this era. Feng Qingxiu also came up with the idea of writing a paper because the country was gradually establishing diplomatic relations with other countries, and the United Nations would soon restore all the legal rights of her motherland in the United Nations. Since you are engaged in this industry, you must take it seriously. Walking out of the campus briskly, when she saw Lu Jiang at the door, Feng Qingxiu softened her eyebrows and quickened her pace. A Jiang. After Lu Jiang's vacation, he would send her to school every day and take her home, which made her classmates envious. Lu Jiang took the heavy school bag and said, "Xiaoun went home today." Xiaoun, Feng Qingxiu couldn't wait to go home to see her sister and ask what was going on. After some distance from the campus gate, she asked, "Wu Zhanpeng, how is your investigation going?" Wu Zhanpeng pursues Feng Qingyun. She cannot be indifferent. She must at least find out the details about Wu Zhanpeng. Lu Jiang whispered, "Didn't I say that yesterday? A young talent, a golden turtle son-in-law in the eyes of many people. What about the others? Others often see the surface. I want to know his specific family situation, the personalities of his parents, brothers and sisters, his character, and whether it has caused any trouble to Xiaoun. Even mothers in other families are not as careful as you." Lu Jiang laughed. "I almost dug out all the 18 generations of Wu Zhanpeng's ancestors. I found everything I could find." "Say it." Lu Jiang thought about it for a moment and said, "He has 3 brothers and a sister, all of whom are married and have children. The eldest nephew is older than him, and he is the only one who is not married. He is Comrade Wu Sheng's old son. He has been pampered since he was a child, but he has not developed an arrogant, domineering and arrogant character. Instead, he is gentle, elegant, and an upright gentleman." "You've said this before, let's talk about other things," Feng Qingxiu said. "I see you are anxious, but I told you not to be angry." "Explain." Lu Jiang said slowly, "Comrade Wu Sheng is a poor farmer's son. His parents were killed by the Japs. The whole village was wiped out and there were only a few people left, so the army took him in as a Boy Scout. All the knowledge he has now was learned in the army. It shows that he is talented and intelligent, and he is a wise man even in the army. He has never been on the battlefield personally. After his ex-wife died of illness, he married the current Comrade Du Wan and had no family background. He has 3 daughters-in-law and a wife. A son-in-law comes from an ordinary worker's background, but Comrade Du Wan looked down on the background of his daughter-in-law and son-in-law after Comrade Wu Sheng's rise. Comrade Wu Sheng began to rise step by step in the past 20 years. 10 chapters, tickets, more or less supplementary updates at night, around 10 o'clock. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1453. Feng Qingxiu started to shake her head when she heard that Du Wan looked down on those with lower family status. The relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law is very important. Xiaoun is fierce at heart. I'm afraid she won't be able to cope with Comrade Du Wan's fault-finding. Although Lu Jiang's rank is not low and he has a bright future, he is just a brother-in-law and does not represent Feng Qingyun's background. The superiority made Du Wan very satisfied. The latter must want to marry a daughter from a compound with a good foundation and a high rank from her father's generation. In the eyes of some people, ingredients are above all else, but in the eyes of some people, existing power is above all else. Du Wan belongs to the latter. There are too many people like her. She starts to dislike the mud on her legs before they are washed off, and she behaves very arrogantly and confidently. If there is any benefit to the various policies since the founding of the People's Republic of China, it is probably to break the fixed classes, although it did not last long. Speaking of this, Feng Qingxiu suddenly shook her head. No, with Xiaoun's methods, she will not be unable to cope with it. She will only be able to point her finger at the wheat. Comrade Du Wan will not be able to eat it. Suffering a loss and being wronged? That's not their style. Lu Jiang suddenly laughed. Since you are not worried about Xiaoun suffering a loss, why don't you agree with Comrade Wu Zanpeng's pursuit? Feng Qingxiu looked at him sideways. Did I say that? The relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Since ancient times, the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law has been a difficult problem with no solution. Comrade Wu Zanpeng is not so good that I ignore everything and agree to his pursuit of my sister. I am just such a sister. The married girl and the married girl have the same mood, and they always want her to have a perfect future. How can there be anything perfect in life? You have to know that the moon waxes and wanes, and the water overflows. A little bit of imperfection is the most beautiful. Lu Jiang told the truth. Feng Qingxiu's mouth twitched. How about Comrade Wu Sheng and Comrade Wu Zanpeng? Lu Jiang thought for a moment. Didn't I tell you? He is a man of learning and talent. Although Comrade Wu Sheng moved with the army, he studied under a famous family. His teacher was a famous intellectual at the time, and he was very well educated. Wu Zanpeng was the most handsome. His father was particularly gifted in languages. He was born on the day of the founding of the People's Republic of China, and lived in a peaceful era. He was trained wholeheartedly by his father. He was exposed to all famous teachers from a young age. He was proficient in several foreign languages, and was also good at art, music, horseback riding, and shooting. He has skills that are as good as those of our children. So outstanding, Feng Qingxiu was a little surprised. A very outstanding young man, otherwise how can we say that he is the favorite in the compound? Lu Jiang talked about these things with a very fair attitude. 3 brothers and 3 sisters-in-law are not simple, 2 brothers are in politics, 1 brother is in the army, and 3 sisters-in-law have achieved great results in various fields. Being from an ordinary background does not mean that personal achievements are ordinary. It is rare to be united, harmonious, and kind-hearted. Feng Qingxiu nodded. Your last sentence is quite right. An ordinary background does not mean an average personal achievement. Our era is not an era where it will be difficult to have a son from a poor family in a few decades. Those proletarian revolutionaries in our country have. How many of you came from a particularly wealthy family? Didn't you all work your way up to where you are today? In the eyes of others, you are just the son of a landlord with a bad background, and I am just a mud-legged daughter, and there are 2 unworthy ones. Brother. Feng Qingxiu values character, temperament, and the way to deal with others, and does not care about family status. Why does she look down on people from the same background as herself because she was born in a poor family? As long as the child likes it and thinks he can get along with it for a lifetime, the rest can be slowly trained after marriage. But according to Lu Jiang, Du Wan is not such a person. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1454. The relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law is really important to all women in the world. Lu Zhang is a man. His mother died early. He has never seen his wife and mother get along. He cannot understand the importance of the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law in life. Although Feng Qingxiu has no experience in getting along with her mother-in-law, she has never eaten pork or seen pigs. Run. She waved her hand. Comrade Wu Sheng and his son are fine, but Comrade Du One's problem cannot be ignored. After a pause, she thought of Wu Sheng's daughter. Don't just talk about Comrade Wu Sheng's son. He also has a daughter. How is he? How is his marriage? Let me tell you, in addition to the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, there is also the relationship between sister-in-law and sister-in-law. It's also very important. A sister-in-law who loves to go back to her parents' home to sow discord can easily make the already bad relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law worse. Lu Zhang laughed and said, "You are so thoughtful." Fortunately, I asked Madame Guoyan to inquire carefully. How is it? Feng Qingxiu asked impatiently. Before Lu Zhang had time to answer, he saw Feng Qingyun bringing his 5 children to greet him and his wife. Sister. Mother. The big ones and the small ones all said in unison, with bright smiles on their white and tender faces, like blooming flowers, adding a bit of splendid color to the streets that tended to be bleak in the evening. Feng Qingxiu didn't bother to ask about Wu Sheng's daughter. No matter how important others were, was her own family important? Besides, Feng Qingyun and Wu Zhanpeng didn't know it was so long and so short. Why don't you wait for us at home? Are you all out? Because Lu Zhang reached out and picked up Dun Dun, Feng Qingxiu picked up Chuang Chuang. Compared to Dun Dun and Erxian, he was still too light. Neither Zibao nor Fubao were jealous of their younger brother, and Erxian didn't even know how to write the word jealousy. Seeing his brother, sister, and aunt laughing, he also grinned, revealing his white baby teeth. He squeezed them away and ran to his parents. "Mom, I missed you, so I asked my aunt and brother and sister to take me out." Zibao reached out and hit him on the head. "Lu Erxian, you take all the credit again." "That's right, Erxiang, you are so unkind." It's obvious that Zhuang misses his mother and insists on coming out to find her. "How come you miss your mother?" Feng Qingyun held Fu Bao's little hand and laughed so hard that her stomach hurt. "No matter what happens, as long as you see this group of nieces and nephews, your worries will disappear immediately." Lu Erxian looked at the sky, clenched his fists, and pretended not to hear. Seeing his behavior, everyone couldn't help but laugh and feel helpless at the same time. Okay, let's go home. Mom is tired after a long day. Let her go home to eat and have an early rest, Lu Zhang said. How is it possible to rest immediately after dinner? After washing the children first, Feng Qingxiu called her sister to the West Wing again after they fell asleep. The 2 West Wing rooms are now study rooms. They are old books that the Lu family has collected from various places in the past 2 years and can be placed on the open side. There are also beds inside, so that guests at home can have a place to rest. Feng Qingxiu was sitting on the bed, looking at her slim sister. Explain it. What are you telling me, sister? Feng Qingyun sat next to her sister, holding her arms with both hands and acting coquettishly. Sister, you are so clueless, I don't know what you want me to say. What? Feng Qingxiu tapped her forehead. Don't pretend to be stupid with me. What's going on with Wu Zhanpeng? Are you talking about him? Who else besides him? I don't believe Xiaoyu didn't remind you. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1455. For a moment, Feng Qingyun didn't know where to start. She struggled for a moment. Sister, what do you want me to say? Comrade Wu Zhanpeng is pursuing me, but I didn't agree to his pursuit. I'm not one of those silly girls who would lose me when I see a gay man with good looks and bearing. A beautiful heart doesn't care whether someone has a family or whether their character is flawed. Are you kidding, Wengxiu? Feng Qingxiu said with a straight face. No, no, Feng Qingyun quickly waved her hand. Wengxiu is not stupid. How smart is Wengxiu? She is a rare smart person in the art troupe. Although she and Guancheng fell in love with each other the first time they met, they later got together. But it's because we understand each other, just like what you said by chance, sister. It starts with appearance, respect for talent, personality, kindness, and loyalty to character. In Guancheng's words, they start. It's love at first sight and love at second sight. Feng Qingxiu nodded slightly. What about you? What's going on? Feng Qingyun put her chin on her sister's shoulder and said distressedly, I'm still young, sister. The more I study, the more clearly I see my shortcomings. I need more time to study. I'm working hard and want to. When I became a disciple of teacher Zhang, how could I think about all the romance? My sister was very good and was still studying tirelessly, studying under countless famous teachers. Of course I wanted to study like my sister, Comrade Wu Zhanpeng, and I wanted to pursue her. Do you have to agree? There is no such thing as this in the world. Feng Qingyun said it confidently. Seeing her like this, Feng Qingxiu smiled instead and straightened the messy hair on her temples. I'm very happy that you think so and work so hard, because you are still young. If you decide your life's major events at this age, I will be worried that you will regret your youth and frivolity in the future. Marriage is not a trivial matter and should not be decided in a hurry. She then told her sister Wu Zhanpeng's family situation in detail. Don't worry about anything else, just worry about his mother. Even if you accept his pursuit, I have to persuade you to calm down before making a decision. Feng Qingyun opened her mouth wide. Wu Zhanpeng's mother is so arrogant? Xiaoyu didn't tell me. Xiaoyu is young and has been in the army since she was a teenager. She definitely doesn't know enough about Comrade Wu Sheng's family affairs. At least it is impossible for her to have a clear understanding of the temperament of everyone in Comrade Wu Sheng's family. She will not be in contact with him for a long time. Comrade Du Wan, you just have to be aware of this matter, and you didn't agree to Comrade Wu Zhanpeng's pursuit anyway. I didn't agree, but Wu Zhanpeng said he would not give up. After listening to her sister's words, Feng Qingxiu said directly, whether it is love or marriage, only wishful thinking can lead to happiness. Wishful thinking is forcing, and forcing will not lead to happiness. Our family is an ordinary family and cannot afford to be robbed by force. If Wu Zhanpeng comes to bother you again, you should ask him to come to me. I am your elder sister, like a mother. Sooner or later, you have to get through this. Feng Qingyun nodded vigorously. She liked her sister's meticulous care for her. If her brother-in-law hadn't knocked on the door soon and asked if they had finished talking, she would have really wanted to lie in the same bed with her sister and continue whispering. Seeing her brother-in-law watching eagerly at the door, she had no choice but to go to the east wing to sleep with Fu Bao and Dun Dun. Lu's father and Zi Bao took Chuang, Lu Erxian followed Wang Quilin, and several guards slept in the study. Lu Zhang and his wife rarely had a short world for two, with endless beautiful scenery. Lu Zhang was still unfinished and didn't want to get up early, but there was a heavy knock on the door. I added 3 chapters, and I got 13,000 today. I have tickets for the game, and monthly tickets are recommended. I have the nerve to buy tickets after the update is completed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1456. It's so early in the morning and it's not even time for me to get up. Why are you so anxious? While Lu Zhang was putting on his pants, Feng Qingxiu was lying on the bed and laughing. Hurry up and open the door. There is nothing else to do except your mission. Their house has been quiet recently, and no urgent matters have come to their door. Lu Jiang was fully dressed within 10 seconds. Several guards had already gotten up and opened the door. When they saw him coming out, they pointed at a young man in military uniform at the door and said to him, "Looking for you, the cars are already at the door." The young man was Commander Su's driver and saluted Lu Jiang, "Please return to the headquarters immediately. The country has important instructions." He knew it. Lu Jiang said without hesitation, "Wait for me for 5 minutes." "Yes." Lu Jiang returned to the bedroom. Feng Qingxiu had already gotten up and was combing her wavy hair. "Want to go back?" "Well," there was a trace of apology on Lu Jiang's face, "I promised to stay with you and the children for a month, but now I have to break my promise in just a few days. When the children get up, I will apologize to them for me and I can't take them out to play." When he spoke, he did not forget to pack things in his hands. Feng Qingxiu stuffed some ham sausages, bags of braised eggs, braised chicken legs, etc. into his luggage bag. "I will do it. You can work with peace of mind. I will take care of the family matters. There shouldn't be any major events recently, right? There are no major incidents or emergencies. It's probably a matter of the headquarters." Lu Jiang put his luggage bag on his shoulder, walked to the door and turned around and said, "It's not even 6 o'clock yet. You can sleep a little longer, I'll leave first." Feng Qingxiu insisted on sending him to the gate, and several guards also took care of him. "Qingxiu, go back. Sister-in-law, let's go." Several young soldiers saluted one after another, followed Lu Jiang into the car, and left. After Lu Jiang left, Feng Qingxiu felt depressed and didn't want to cook seriously anymore, so she washed rice and red dates and poured them into a steel pot and sat on the briquette stove. She walked to the state-owned restaurant on the street with her basket and bought some steamed buns and fried dough sticks. The red date porridge is ready, and the elderly and children are getting up one after another. Not seeing Lu Jiang's figure, the adults understood in their hearts, but it was difficult for the children to understand. The triplets complained one after another, and Lu Erxian jumped on the spot. "Dad is gone again." "It's true. He promised to take us boating yesterday." Feng Qingxiu knelt down and hugged the triplets one by one. "Dad is very busy at work. Grandpa Commander sent someone to call him away early in the morning. Before leaving, he asked me to apologize for him. I didn't mean to break my promise to you. However, when Dad comes home next time, you can ask him for compensation and ask him to cede the land to compensate you on top of taking you out to play." Words such as claims for compensation and land cession and compensation are very profound for children. They were all confused when they heard it, and they blinked their big eyes, as if their eyeballs were spinning in circles. It was really cute. Zibao said, "It means asking Dad to compensate us." "That's good," Lu Erxian understood and said happily, "I want to eat a big ice cream, but Dad didn't buy it for me yesterday." Dun Dun, who had always been silent, rolled his eyes, propped up his elbows, held his chin in his hands, and began to think about his recent unsatisfied wishes. Is it a waste not to take a nap with Xiang? Only Zhuang nuzzled into his mother's arms and hugged her neck. "I wish I had a mother." Feng Qingxiu stroked his back and turned to the third child, who was always ignored by everyone. "Dun Dun, what do you want Dad to compensate you for?" Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1457. Dun Dun put his two little hands on his knees, tilted his head, and flashed his big eyes. "Can you grant me any wish?" "Yes, if Dad doesn't agree to it, Mom will satisfy you," Feng Qingxiu replied proudly. Compared to Lu Erxian, who always had weird requests, Dun Dun was much cuter, so cute that it made people feel bad. "I want to go boating," Dun Dun said honestly. "I still want to go boating." He is the elder brother, so don't hate Lu Erxian. Yesterday, Lu Erxian gave himself a big bite of his favorite red date cake. I want to go boating too, Lu Erxian said loudly. Feng Qingxiu agreed, okay, Dad is not at home, Mom and grandparents will take you boating. Wow, the triplets happily held hands and turned around in circles, cheering, let's go rowing, let's go rowing. The adults all wanted to laugh when they saw it. Although Lu Erxian was the funniest and Zhuang was the most heart-wrenching, in terms of intelligence, neither Zhuang nor Erxian could compare to Dun Dun. He just didn't open his mouth. He knew it, he had never suffered a loss since he was a child. Lu Zhang is often away from home, so after he leaves, the house is still lively. And what about Lu Zhang? Ling Ding sat alone in the car, thinking about his wife and children. He didn't know if the children were angry. With this thought, he went all the way to the headquarters in Zishan Courtyard, where Commander Su, Deputy Commander Wang, Chief of Staff Shen, and Political Commissar Li were all present. The senior generals who were higher than him were all eating, and there were Zhang Yun and others beside them. The lowest ranking one was the army commander. A large group of people saw him and hurriedly invited him to eat together. Breakfast should have been prepared for him, and Commander Su's guards quickly brought it to him. After saluting one by one, Lu Zhang sat down politely, picked up the bowl and ate. He couldn't steal the food his wife brought for him in the car. He was so hungry now that he couldn't help but eat a cow. Comrade Commander, why are you looking for me so early in the morning? I'm on vacation. So what if you're on vacation? It's not like you're not used to emergencies in the army. Commander Su didn't want to be fooled by Lu Jiang's pity, but your family really needs to find another place to live, let alone if it's far away. There is no telephone or motor in that shabby yard, so if there is any major incident, it is not easy to contact you, so you have to send someone directly. Lu Jiang didn't even raise his head. That yard is nice. It's more convenient for my wife to go to school. Huh? Hasn't Zibao's mother graduated yet? Commander Su thought of some military trainees in the Zishan compound. Most of them had graduated within a year and had returned to their posts. He didn't pay attention to Feng Qingxiu's situation. No, she studied French and English, and also studied in medical school for 2 years. Oh, I've learned quite a lot. It's good to have the opportunity to study. You'll learn as long as you live. After Commander Su finished speaking, he turned back to the topic. What did I just say? Now that I think about it, it's because I moved. Question, don't you consider moving to Zishan Courtyard? I think it's much more convenient than your poor yard. Lu Zhang said seriously, after Qingxiu graduates, I will take my children back to Beizhu, so there is no need to go to such trouble. Commander Su glanced at him sideways and drank the last mouthful of porridge. In May next year, the commanders of all the armies will be transferred to other posts after completing their terms. Including you. Do you think Zibao's mother may return to Beizhu after graduating in autumn and winter? Then they will follow me wherever I go, Lu Zhang said without thinking. Commander Su gave him a weak nod and had nothing to say. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1458. Feng Qingxiu didn't care what issues the veteran generals in the headquarters talked about. After dinner, she kept her promise and asked for a day off from school. When she came back, she took her family to Shishaha Park. The ticket cost 3 cents a ticket. Although the autumn colors have just begun, there are really many people in the park, and the people in the open-air swimming pool are like dumplings. Because the child wanted to go boating, Feng Qingxiu bought a boat ticket. The boat ticket was 5 cents each, and the family took a paddle boat, which cost a total of 45 cents. The children were fine, but the adults couldn't stretch their legs, so they had to sit on the small boat. Feng Qingxiu was more attentive and took her family on board after checking that there was a lifebuoy on the boat. Shishaha has a large water area, and the red wall courtyard is nearby. Under the autumn colors, The lake surface is vast and sparkling. Zibao and Fuabao didn't need to ask questions. The triplets had to be looked at without blinking an eye. Dun Dun and Zhuang Zhuang sat beside Feng Qingxiu honestly, very obedient. Lu Erxian couldn't wait to break away from Wang Qilan's control. The whole person reached out into the water outside the boat. Row the boat, I want to row the boat myself. Unlike Zibao and Fuabao who asked the boatman for advice on how to row the boat, Erxian was louder. The middle-aged boatman, who was no older than that, said cheerfully, "Little guy, you can't row a boat. You are not tall enough to hold an oar. How can you hold an oar? Even if you can hold it and row it, you can't steal it from me. My uncle's job depends entirely on rowing." He said it deliberately pathetically, because he had seen too many kids trying to row their own boats. Feng Qingyun waved to Lu Erxian. "Erxian, can my aunt sing to you?" "Okay, sounds good." Lu Erxian was very demanding. Feng Qingyun cleared her throat and opened her mouth. "Let's swing the oars," and the boat pushes away the waves. The lake reflects the beautiful white pagoda, surrounded by green trees and red walls. She has a wide vocal range and received professional training. Her singing voice is sweet and bright. Under the influence of his family, Fu Bao became very familiar with this song. He immediately came to his aunt's side and started singing along, in a low voice at first, and then slowly amplified it. She was young and untrained, and her singing voice was not as good as Feng Qingyun's, but she was innocent and more suitable for singing children's songs. Feng Qingyun gradually lost her voice, and Fuabao's singing was the only one on the boat. Dun Dun and Zhuang Zhuang were very happy and applauded vigorously, their faces turned red with excitement. "It sounds good, it sounds good." The boatman said to Father Lu, "Are they all your grandchildren?" "Yes, my youngest son's children. As you can see, the three little ones look different, but they are triplets." Dun Dun and Lu Erxian actually look exactly the same, but Lu Erxian is a little rounder and more mature. It's easy to tell the difference between Dun Dun and Xiao Zhuang Zhuang, who have a bit of exquisite mischief and an honest look. They are very different from the two twin brothers. The triplets, oh, they all grow up so well, that's such a blessing. The boatman initially thought that the most beautiful little boy was 1 year younger than the other two little boys who were about the same age. Father Lu smiled and nodded, "Yes, my greatest blessing is that I can enjoy the joy of having grandchildren in my old age." The boatman was very envious after hearing this. Lu Erxian waited for Fu Bao to finish singing the song, then put his hands on his hips and said, "I can also sing." "Then you sing." Fu Bao rolled his eyes ungracefully. "You have to give me some applause." "Hey, that's a lot to ask for." Everyone raised their hands and gave him a burst of uneven applause. As soon as he spoke, everyone burst into laughter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1459. Moon Girl, 8 feet tall, rides a white horse and carries a foreign knife. With a sharp foreign knife, she cuts cabbage. When the cabbage is old, she cuts cotton padded jackets. When cotton padded jackets are cotton, she cuts purple lotus and purple. She cuts pockmarked hemp, shears bean sprouts and beans. To cut the bacon, cut the bitter melon, to cut the bitter melon into a tiger. The tiger glared, 4 plates and 8 bowls. Lu Erxian twisted his hips and waved his little hands, and occasionally made faces to scare Dun Dun and Zhuang Zhuang. A rowing boat slowly approached them, and hearty laughter came from them. Feng Qingxiu turned around and saw Luo Cheng, Luo Xiaobao, and Luo Peng, followed by guards. Fuabao, Luo Peng waved vigorously, with a bright smile on his face and white teeth. Fu Bao muttered "stinky gangster" and turned his back to him. Luo Cheng held his crutches in his hands, put his head out and smiled. Seong, what are you singing? It's so nice. Sing it again for Grandpa. Grandpa will take you to eat roast duck in Kwanjud. The seats have been reserved. Zioxiu, no Kwan refuses. After this meal, I have to take Xiaobao to live with his uncle for a while. Lu Erxian looked at Feng Qingxiu and repeated it quickly when he saw her nodding. The speed of speaking is as fast as a barrage of firecrackers. I've finished singing. Grandpa Luo, if you keep your word, treat us all to roast duck. Lu Erxian rushed straight to Luoken without any courtesy at all. He opened his hands with only one thumb curled up and shook it. Grandpa, Grandma, Mother and Aunt, there are 9 of us, and we can eat 9 ducks. Luo Cheng smiled and said, okay, if you eat a few, Grandpa will buy you a few. A roast duck costs 8 yuan, and 10 of them are only 80 yuan, which does not cost him half a month's retirement salary. Let's go, Lu Erxian said cheerfully. The boatmen followed Luo Cheng's command and docked with their boat. The boat has been floating on the lake for almost an hour. The children have already enjoyed themselves. Now they are thinking about eating roast duck. Because the Kwanjud restaurant is always crowded, they have never had a good meal of roast duck. Luo Cheng grasped this point. He heard Zibao mention it once when he was rescued by Feng Qingxiu, and he remembered it. He had already reserved a private room and a large table was crowded around it. 1 duck and 3 meals. Among the triplets, Dun Dun and the second bear ate meat, and Zhuang Zhuang drank soup. However, he saw that his brother and sister ate well, so he finally asked Feng Qingxiu to roll him a pancake with duck meat and sweet sauce. No green onions. Although Lu Erxian kept saying that he wanted to eat 9 ducks, in fact, 4 roast ducks were enough for everyone, including several guards, and there were still 2 duck racks left to stew. Lu Erxian, we only ate 4, what should we do with the remaining 5? Luo Cheng teased him. Lu Erxian waved his little hand, take it home and continue eating. Feng Qingxiu would not indulge him and hurriedly said to Luo Cheng, the supply of roast duck in Kwanjud exceeds the demand. We must not do such disgusting things. I will just take one of the 2 remaining duck racks back to make soup for them. They originally planned to eat out at noon, so they brought their lunch boxes with them. Luo Cheng smiled and said, take them all back, we will leave in the afternoon. When Feng Qingxiu was packing 2 duck racks, Luo Cheng winked at a guard. The guard understood and excused himself to go out and brought back a shiny roast duck that had just come out of the oven. Old comrade, look at you, Feng Qingxiu was helpless. It's okay, take it back and give the child a snack at night, Luo Cheng said with a smile. A group of people walked out of the box, and several people also walked out from the next door. One of them, a middle-aged woman, immediately stared at Feng Qingyun who was leading her niece and asked, are you Feng Qingyun? Her tone was quite bad. We'll continue to update around 6 o'clock. Please give me your tickets. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1460. He is about 40 years old, with yellow and black skin, a pointed face, high cheekbones, 2 raised eyebrows, a pair of triangular eyes, slightly droopy corners of his mouth, and 2 deep lines on both sides of his nose. He is dressed in military green clothes and cannot hide his movements. The vitriol between them. This was her first impression on Feng Qingyun, and it was a very bad impression. Appearance comes from the heart. People with mean faces make people feel uncomfortable. Most of them are really mean people. If you have a calm mind and are kind, you will look very comfortable no matter how bad your appearance is. Fu Bao glanced at her curiously, and then hid behind his aunt. This person is so fierce. I think the most basic courtesy is to first explain who you are, and then ask the other person's name. Feng Qingyun was not someone to be bullied. Looking at the contempt on the other person's face, he smiled very sweetly and was very polite. Politely, I am Feng Qingyun, and, what is your surname? If you name me in front of me, you can't let us know who you are. The middle-aged woman said bluntly, my name is Wu Zhanling. I don't know him. Even if she guessed the other party's identity, Feng Qingyun would not say it out loud. She felt very funny that Wu Zhanling acted like she should be known and respected just after she said her name. You don't know me? You don't know who I am. Wu Zhanling was very angry. Feng Qingyun said innocently, should I know who you are? What contribution have you made to the country? Just by name, I only know the proletarian revolutionaries and masters from all walks of life in our country. I also know every moment in the military. The soldiers who are preparing and the comrades in our regiment who are doing literary work just don't know what the word Wu Zhanling means. Wu Zhanling was almost mad at her, sharp-tongued. It's useless no matter how sharp-tongued you are. You don't know me, but you always know our Zhan Peng, right? If you are sensible, don't pester our Zhan Peng, not everyone can enter the house. Feng Qingyun was angry, but she still had a sweet smile on her pretty face. What kind of family is yours? Tell me. Yes, I also want to know how high the threshold of your family is. They say that our Xiaoun is not qualified to enter. Luo Cheng came out behind Feng Qingyun, side by side with Father Lu. Zibao helped Father Lu, and Luo Peng helped him. When visiting Luokeng, it was the first time that Luokeng felt the filial piety of his grandson. His heart felt sweet and beautiful. He felt that the influence of environment and friends on children was really important. Hearing the conversation between Wu Zhanling and Feng Qingyun, Luo Cheng felt very unhappy. Of course, he was not happy with Wu Zhanling. Feng Qingyun was a very good child, with Feng Qingxiu's shadow all over his body. The old man loved Wu Zhanling very much. Who are you? Wu Zhanling turned to Luo Cheng. You can't blame Wu Zhanling for not recognizing Luo Cheng. Although he is an old revolutionary, Luo Cheng's life is simple, his clothes are patched, and there are no guards following him. He looks no different from an ordinary old man. At this time, the guards were at the very back, and in front of them were Feng Qingxiu and Wan Quilin with the triplets. Luo Cheng tapped his cane on the ground. You don't have to worry about who I am. Whose child are you? Let me listen. Wu Zhanling didn't recognize Luo Cheng. She straightened her chest, raised her eyebrows, and said proudly, my father's name is Wu Sheng, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. My mother's name is Du Wan, and she works in the Women's Federation, and my eldest brother. Just tell me about your achievements. Luo Cheng interrupted her impatiently.